wonderful job in being able to, thank you,
You're welcome.
and being able to categorize the YouTube channel that we have. So it's very easy to access the past talks that we've had and the past practices that we've had. So if you want to go back and refer to them, you can do that. If you have friends who maybe are curious about what we're about and you think that maybe that's a good idea, you can turn them on to that. It's open to the public. So let me know what you think about it and if you have any comments. So thank you to Michael for doing that.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And I'll add on to that Lance made all of the videos public now, including the deity practice videos. So you won't need a link or a password or anything.
So regarding that, just the point of what we're doing with 201, especially, but also it applies to 101. And I just want to emphasize that what we're doing are introductions, you know, to the Dharma practices, to the Dharma academics, to the philosophy, to the doctrine, whatever you want to call it. And it's not meant to replace the Tibetan teachers, the Lama teachers, and so on. But it is meant to be able to kind of whet your appetite a little bit and learn a little bit about, you know, the foundation things so that you can formulate questions that you might want to ask the Lamas for deeper teachings, for the empowerments to do these practices. And so to be able to move forward in your becoming a practitioner as you enter into the path and so on. So that's what this is designed for, is to be able to, you know, give that vocabulary, to give an understanding, and to give a bit of a motivation as an introduction to these different practices. So when you request this from the Lama, you know, what they are giving are what's called the three kindnesses. The kindness of the empowerment itself, which is like the initiation, and then the kindness of the transmission, which is a heartfelt transmission that they recite very fast, but you know, you hear it in your ears, but also it is something that they have cultivated from their heart to go into your heart. And so that transmission comes in and resonates with you in an unseen way, in an invisible way, in an unheard way, in a vibratory way that is beyond our normal intellectual comprehension. And then also they give concrete instructions as to how to regard the teaching or regard the practice and how to do the practice, the instructions for the practice. So those are the three kindnesses. So if you're so moved, you know, to beseech, to supplicate the Lama and ask him for these teachings and so on is how it moves forward. Here in the West, you know, we look at things as, well, you know, show me the syllabus of what the plan is and I'll decide whether I'm going to do it or not. In Tibet, in the old country, the Lama is there and he will sit there and meditate until the students say to him that they have a question and they want something answered, and then he will respond, is the way it's done. So they modified it a little bit for our benefit, but we got to meet them halfway and be able to say, okay, you know, there's some more I'd like to get, and we need to ask them for that. Anybody have any comments or questions about that? Okay.
Does that have to be in person, or does that work in something like Zoom that we have to do now?
Sure, no, it can work with Zoom, you know, and if you've been participating in any of Khenpo Sandup's Zoom meetings or any of the other lamas who are doing it, no, you could certainly ask for that. It would be best to do it at the beginning or the end, or say, I would like to make a request. When's the best time to talk to you? In other words, you wouldn't want to spring it in the middle of a teaching. You know, it should come at a time when he can focus on the question, and with your sincerity, you have to be sincere to be able to make that connection with them. So generally, it's done by offering a kata, and you would offer the kata to the Lama, and you would do 3 prostrations at his feet. Is the traditional way it's done. And I know Khenpo Samdop is very, very, very humble, very modest, and he will try and stop you from doing the prostrations, and sometimes even making the kata offering. But in the traditional way, in the older monks, that's the way it's done. So it's part of the culture.
Do they, Lance, do they do the kata offering online or in the prostrations, or what do the lamas say now?
Yeah, you can do it while online, and if you
With all
you're
this
working
online
today,
teaching.
you were working today, so I guess you didn't see the birthday thing today. Is that right?
Yeah, we had a job today.
Yeah. So there was a lama or 2 who made mandala offering, and there was a singer, a lay person singer, who made an offering, and they didn't do the prostrations, but they could have, but they did this recitation, and they made the offering, and they laid it in front of the camera or whatever, and so yeah, so it can be done that way.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Lance,
Yes, sir.
when you ask for these or request these teachings, should it be privately done?
Not necessarily.
No, it can be done, I guess, before or after a class, or
Yeah,
before or after a teaching.
sure. Yeah, if it doesn't embarrass you, no, it can be done in front of everybody. I know I've been in places where it's done right in, there might be 20 people in a room.
Hmm.
Sure.
Thank you.
And this is another reason why we do prostrations like we do, to do the refuge prostrations, to get into that mode. Western people have a big obscuration to, bowing and to making those kinds of offerings. So in the East, that's part of their culture. And as a matter of fact, you would make an offering to them with an envelope or something, and the mandala offering is done before the teaching. Otherwise, the Lama wouldn't give the teaching in the old country. In the West, we're not going to pay for something until we get, until we see it. In most cases, anyway. Okay.
Well, Lance, I'm going to do my offering right now and do prostrations.
Well, not to me, because I ain't no Lama.
It doesn't matter. We're still our teacher.
Thank you very much, Sal. Thank you. So I'm a spiritual friend. I'm trying to be a spiritual friend, and to be able to bridge the gap, for our Western ways and so on between the old country, between the Tibetans and their culture. So that's all I'm trying to do.
Well, I'd say that you're being a wonderful teacher, not just a spiritual friend, and we really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. It's kind of you to say so. Thank you so much. So just let's reflect just for a couple minutes on the practices that we've been doing. So far, we've done Shenreze, we've done Manjushri, we've done Vajrapani, and we've done Vajrasattva. So can you see a a commonality between the practices, the things that we've done? Are you seeing any kind of a pattern in any way?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. What is it?
So they're like the stages of each practice with the generation phase. When you visualize the deity arising in front of you, and then there is like I guess the well, of course, the prayers, the opening prayers, the generation phase, I think each deity has its own thing that you're kind of like making the request to the deity for you to be able to embody the same characteristics as the deity. And then there's the meditation, and then the dissolution phase, the offerings. But that's kind of like what I've seen.
Okay, that's good. Anybody else want to add anything to that? So the deities are examples of perfection. So if we want to be perfect, if we want to transcend our human nature and recognize this perfect true nature that we have in ourselves, having these examples, having these perfect beings is the best way that we can do that. To learn from them, they become our teachers. They are our yidams. So we're going through them right now. We may not have, gotten to that point of saying, oh, I want Chen Reizig to be my yidam, my formal yidam, but we're tasting a little bit of each of what they have to offer to understand what the yidam is. That they are the exemplar, they are the teacher, they are the tutor for us to be able to learn what Buddha nature is, to recognize it within ourselves. So what we've been talking about so far, we're male deities. Tonight we're going to, and for the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about the female deities. So they're equally powerful in different ways, and they complement each other in that you can't have one without the other. So generally speaking, the male deities represent the skillful means, represent the method. So in terms of the implements, they are represented by the dorje or the vajra, and that represents the masculine, the method, the skillful means, and what it is the skillful means of, what it is the method of, is the wisdom. So the wisdom is the bell. So the bell is the feminine, and the masculine is the method, is the dorje. And the two always go together. So it's the masculine and the feminine, it's the wisdom and the compassion. The compassion is the actualization of the wisdom. So we look at it that, the mother aspect, the female aspect, is like the mother. That this is where all the Buddhas come from. All the enlightened ones come from this mother being, the mother, and the mother being represents this wisdom. And then the wisdom has to be actualized. Just having the wisdom doesn't mean near as much as it does if you put it to work, if you make it go to action. So that's what the male does. That's what the masculine does. So we'll begin to see more and more of that, as we continue with these practices. You begin to see the subtleties of how that works, where the wisdom is, and where the actualization of that wisdom is, where the compassion is. So we'll begin to recognize that more and more.
Good question.
Yes.
So, Lance, I always forget, like with the Vajra, I think you're holding it with the left hand and the bell with the right hand, right?
No, the other way around.
The other way around. So the Vajra with the right
Right
hand
hand. And the wisdom and the bell with the left hand.
with the left hand, that's right. And does this have like a correspondence to the long channels, to the like the male and female energy channels that go along the central channel, like the male?
You mean the right channel and the left channel?
So the left channel is the female, right?
I'm not sure if it's expressed that way. Maybe it is. I haven't looked at that in a while. So maybe there is a reference to that. It's the what is it? The ulna and the Roma is the red channel, and the white channel, and the center channel is a clear channel. So the way I look at it at this point in our investigation with this, the left is where we receive wisdom, we receive power, we receive coming in from the left, and the left is closest to our heart. And then we digest it within ourselves, and then it goes out on the right. It goes out to all beings. It goes out to others. So the wisdom comes in through the left, and the actualization of that, the compassion, goes out to the right. So that's in keeping with the idea of the wisdom coming in from the feminine on the left side and going out with the skillful means on the right side.
Right.
So with the breath, is it congruent with that? I'd have to look at that. I'm not sure. Probably does, but I'm not positive.
Okay.
I can't imagine that they would switch it.
And then I always try to remember that when you said the bell and the dorje down on the table, which one goes to the left? The dorje goes to the left, right?
Yeah. So when you're putting it on your table, the bell goes to the upper left-hand corner, and the deity, the Vajrasattva, is looking at you, the face, and the dorje goes to the left of the bell.
Got it.
So when you're picking it up, you're crossing your hands, and your left hand is going to the bell, and your right hand is going to the dorje, and you pick it up like that.
Yes. Like that, right?
So it behooves everybody as a practitioner to get a bell and dorje, to get a set. This is the second most important tool that you will use as a practitioner. The first being the mala beads, then the second will be the bell and dorje. You become, the practitioner. You're the lama. You're the one who is teaching yourself when you come home and you're doing these practices, and you're bringing that guru up. It's within you, and you're bringing that up. So by having these tools to help us do that, we are able to become the embodiment of these. That's all these implements are, so that we can recognize the deity within ourselves, the Lama within ourselves, the Guru within ourselves.
And when are the times when you're holding the Vajra and bell together?
You mean like this? You're holding
No,
them
just in
together?
one hand and they're crossed like that.
I don't know of a specific practice that does that.
Okay, I might have.
I've seen them doing empowerments, certain empowerments, that the Lama will take a bell and dorje and will tie them together, and put them on the altar.
Okay.
So there may be, a time and a practice where it's done like that, but I don't know of a practice where it's that's a normal thing. I think it's a sight thing.
Yeah. My bell has, I think, a female face on it.
Well, I can't really tell. You know, they're androgynous. You know,
Are they?
they're supposed to be pretty androgynous.
Okay. All right, thank you, Lance.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, any other questions or comments about that? Okay. So tonight, like I said, we're going to be doing Tara, and I just want to introduce this is because I said the feminine, the Tara is the mother of all the Buddhas. The wisdom is the mother of all the Buddhas. We come from wisdom. We are born from wisdom. So the Tara represents that. So all the male deities, you know, these wisdom deities, the Dhyani Buddhas, the 5 Buddha families that we're going to talk more about. Actually, well, we talked about them in Buddhism 101. So you should have some familiarity with them, the 5 Buddha families. So the 5 male have their consorts, you know, which is like the mother figure, and the male is the father figure. And so all the mother figures are variations of Tara. Sometimes Tara will be in their name, but most of the time not. So, but we recognize them as mother of all the Buddhas, the Taras. So there are a number of practices. There's one called the 21 Taras. And they're distinct figures of, you know, anthropomorphic images of different Taras, different colors, having different implements in their hands and different body types and so on. And they have, and that practice is a very heavy practice, is a very detailed practice. So that comes much later on in the Tantra practices. So we're not going to go there. But so I'm just making the point that there are a wide variety of Taras that are the mother figure. So it's very important in the Tibetan Buddhism to recognize that. Okay, so let's begin by doing our opening prayers on page 3, starting on page 3. So we'll go through these, and I'll recite these tonight. So we'll do twice in English, once in Tibet, where it's indicated as 3 times. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Dagla dang war je pe dra no par je pe geg. Tar pa dang tam shaken pe bar du jo par je pa tam shaki so je pe. Manam ka dam yam pe sem chen tam she de wa dang den. Dug now dang drel nor du la na me pa yang dag par zog pe shang ju brin po she do par sha. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Te she du sang ma ge gi ba du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. Ma she bardulu na gisam ge wala ko. Du de ring ne song te ni ma sang ta sang gi bardulu na gisam ge wala ko. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities and the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities and the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Dren sawa dangur parje pe pal den lama dampa namla kapsu chiyo. Yidam kil gorgi la sok namla kapsu chiyo. Sangye chom dende namla kapsu chiyo. Dampe cho namla kapsu chiyo. Pape ge dunam la kapsu chiyo. Pawo ka jo kyung song me song ye shegi chang dang dempa nam la kapsu chiyo. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Shangshu Ningpo Chiki Bar Sangye Namla Kapsu Chi Chodang Shangshu Sampa So Klang Deshin Kapsu Chi Jitar Nongi Deshegi Shangshu Tugni Ke Padang Shangshu Sampe La Pala De Dagrim Shin E Pata De Shin Dro La Pandandu Shangshu Samni Kegi Shing De Shin Du La Pala Rimpa Shindu La Pajio. In the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye chodang soki chodam la shangshu badu dagni kapsu chi dagi jin soki pe sonamgi Jola Panshir Sangye Juparsho. May all mother sentient beings, spanless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity. free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Manam kadam yam pe sem chen tam she de wadang de we gudang dem par jur chi. Dog now dang de now gi gudang tra war jur chi. Dog now me pe de wadang mi dra war jur chi. May ring chak dang ni dang dra wei dang nam la ne pa jur chi. The seven limb prayer. I bow down respectfully with my body, speech, and faithful mind to all Tathagatas in the 10 directions, those who have already reached the Tathagata state, those who are reaching it at present, and those Tathagatas still to come. Through the power of Samantabhadra's prayers, may all Buddhas manifest vividly in my mind. I prostrate to them, multiplying my body as many times as there are atoms of the earth. In each atom, I visualize as many Buddhas as there are atoms, surrounded by countless bodhisattvas. Thus, all space is filled with Buddhas and bodhisattvas. I praise all Buddhas through magnificent chanting, expressing the great ocean of their excellent qualities. To all Buddhas, I make offerings of various pure flowers, of flower garlands, of music, anointing oils, magnificent light, and fragrant incense. I make offerings to them of fine garments, perfume, and potpourri, piled high as Mount Meru and arranged in the most beautiful way. I visualize the highest and most extensive offerings and offer them with great faith to all Buddhas. I prostrate to the Buddhas and make offerings to them, following the deeds of the great Bodhisattva Samantabhadra. I confess to you, Buddhas, whatever negative actions I have committed due to the power of anger, desire, and ignorance. I rejoice in the merit of all the Buddhas in the 10 directions, of the great Bodhisattvas and Pratyeka Buddhas, those who have attained Arhatship, those who have entered the path to Arhatship, and all other beings. I request to all great protectors and Buddhas to turn the highest wheel of Dharma as the light dispels the darkness of the beings of the 10 directions and leads them gradually to the enlightened state. I supplicate those Buddhas intending to pass into parinirvana to live long for as many eons as there are atoms of the earth in order to benefit all beings. Whatever merit I've gathered through prostrations, offering, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the 4 continents, and the sun and the moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. To the lamas who possess the 3 kayas, I offer the outer, inner, and secret offerings with my body, wealth, and all that is visible. Please grant me the supreme realization, enlightenment. Whatever merit I've gathered through prostration, offering, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Om Guru Ratna Mandala Puja Mega Samuja Saparana Samaye Hom. Unequaled refuge, ornament of the world. Your fame pervades the 3,000 worlds. You are the victor Vajradhara without a doubt. I bow at the feet of the Father Jigdan Sumgun. Continually I think of no one but you. Compassionate one, grant your blessings. Dispel the darkness that surrounds my heart. Please bless me so that I can realize the unelaborated nature of mine. Jabjangi Dome Zamlingen Dragpe Tong Som Yong La Kya So me gawa durje chan Pajik tan gompe shaladu Tu tak tu sam yu kyo le me Zengi lob shik turje chan Nyingi mon pa sal ne kang Samjoja du Topar Jinji Lo. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the two vehicles in their combination, according to the disposition, and likewise the mental capacities of sentient beings. Samchan Namgi Sampadang Lo Yi Je Dak Jitawa Shejong Tong Mong Te Pa Yi Korchi Korlo Kordu So. Thank you. I got a little frightened there. I saw His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche there, and I thought he was joining us there, but that is Amanda's picture she put up.
Yes. Sorry, Lance.
That's okay.
Amanda, it looks like
his birthday today.
Yeah. What's that?
Isn't his birthday today or yesterday?
Yes. Today, the celebration was today, yes.
Right.
Alexander, welcome. And Gil, welcome to you. Thank you for coming. Amanda, welcome. Thank you for bringing His Holiness.
Oh, thank you.
I thought Amanda shaved her head.
Maybe one day, we'll see.
She's much lovelier than that. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to go to page 45 to begin with. This is the regular practice of green Tara, called the source of all activities. So the two main Taras that we practice are green Tara and white Tara. So they are examples, they are of the same Tara, of the same wisdom being, as are all the other Taras, are the same as these, are emanations of these. So generally speaking, green Tara is a youthful Tara, about 16 years old. And in my mind, you know, when I heard that and everything, she always reminded me of that, you know, sweet hippie chick that I knew way back when. You know, the one who during the time of, you know, during the 1970s when they were having all the trouble on the campuses of schools and so on, and the National Guard was being called up to go to these schools. And there was invariably some young woman that would come and take a flower and put it down the muzzle of one of the National Guard. So this to me was a perfect example of that green Tara, you know, fearless to do something like that. So the white Tara is more matronly. She's the mother figure. She's a little bit more older looking, a little bit more developed than the green Tara, and she represents she is a long life deity, while green Tara represents fearlessness, developing fearlessness. So white Tara develops fearlessness also, but as a mode to be able to accomplish a long life, to be able to attain a long life. So green Tara has a green body, obviously. She's sitting on a lotus pedestal. You can see that her right leg, if you can see her foot, is extended and is on another lotus flower. So it's extended. The left leg is drawn up into her body. So she's representing that she has the stability of her practice, represented by the leg drawn up, and the leg that is extended represent that she is willing to jump up in a moment to be able to come to the aid of any sentient being who needs her assistance, needs her help. So that's the meaning of the right leg extended like that. Her right hand is at her right knee, and she's holding the stem of a lotus flower. Her left hand is at her heart center, and she's holding the stem of another lotus flower. So the left, as we know, is receiving, coming in, and she's representing, so her hand is in the protection mudra. So this wisdom is coming in, this purity from the lotus flower is coming in from the left, and this is offering protection to all who approach her, to what she represents. Her right hand at her right knee with the palm up is in the generosity mudra, the boons mudra, giving. And she's holding the purity, the lotus flower, the purity of the lotus flower there too. So she's offering protection, and she's offering purity. So this is the initial visualization of green Tara. She is in the karma family. She is part of the karma family, and she's traditionally, the green Tara is the consort to Amagoga City. And together they represent the all-accomplishing wisdom. Okay. So now, if we go to page 46, we can see there is an introduction here. So let's read the introduction together. I'll read it out loud, and you guys can follow along. You can recite it to yourselves if you like. So, Shenrezig is an emanation of Buddha Amitabha's compassion, and Tara is an emanation of his wisdom. Shenrezig cultivated, and whose microphone is on, please? Alexander?
Yes, sorry.
Alex, I think yours is on. Excuse me, Adrian, I think yours is on. Okay, I'll start over again. Shenrezig is an emanation of Buddha Amitabha's compassion, and Tara is an emanation of his wisdom. Shenrezig cultivated indomitable courage to benefit all sentient beings until samsara was emptied. For limitless kalpas, he benefited sentient beings by bringing them to the state of liberation. However, the total number of sentient beings did not decrease. One day, he became exhausted, and tears came to his eyes. Being overwhelmed by the suffering of sentient beings, these two tears became Tara and Brikuti. Tara said to him, "I will protect those who fear the suffering of samsara. Don't worry, I will protect them." Thus, she works together with Shenrezig to benefit sentient beings. Buddha Varanchana made the 21 verses of praise to Tara and taught many Tara Tantra teachings. She has countless manifestations with different numbers of faces and hands. Archaya Ashvogasha said, "The body of Tara manifests in many forms, such as Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, wrathful forms, peaceful forms, Umadeva, and so forth. Mamaki, Tara, Pantari, Buddha Latsani, and so on, depending on the level of sentient beings. She is the basis of the manifestation of all female deities. In India, she manifested as Maya Devi, the mother of Buddha Shakyamuni, Gelongma Palmo, Lady Mandarara, and so forth. In Tibet, she appeared as Dakini Yeshe Sogyal, Machik Lobjong, Achi Choki Droma, and many of the abbesses of the Drikung Turdam nunnery. Just hearing her name with devotion frees one from the 8 or 16 fears. Practicing her meditation and reciting her mantra dispels all obstacles. One will be born in Dewa Chen, the pure land of Buddha Amitabha." Okay. So does anybody have any questions about that or comments about the introduction? And this is something, of course, that you should read over and over again. And references that you're not sure about, you should do a little bit of research and look things up, cross-reference in the books that you have, or on Google, or ask the Lama, or ask a brother and sister, a Dharma brother and sister, to try and clear up what might be your questions.
And do you understand this is speaking in generally about Tara, not just green Tara?
Correct.
Mhm.
Correct.
So it applies in the same way for white Tara, red Tara,
All the
yellow
time.
Tara. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it says. Yes.
Yeah.
So, the activity narrows down a little bit as we get into this particular practice. So we'll see how that works. And so her green color is, so this is all accomplishing, so the thing that holds us back from accomplishment very often are our doubts, our fears, our lack of well-being. So if we can overcome that, if we have the wisdom of recognizing those doubts, of recognizing those fears, and having the courage to overcome them, then we can be successful in attaining the wisdom of the all-accomplishing wisdom. So we'll see how this works out.
Lance,
Yes.
are there any sadhanas with Brikuti? I'm just not familiar with Brikuti.
Rikuti, I've looked it up a number of different times, and sometimes she's depicted as a very dark blue, kind of a semi-wrathful looking deity. But I don't know of a practice that features her, but there might be, because I certainly don't know too many things. Brikuti was also the name of one of the wives of the king of Tibet.
Oh, wow.
Who brought, she must have been the wife that came from Nepal,
Was it
who introduced Buddhism to the king of Tibet. Was it Detsen?
Is it Trisong Detsen? Is that right?
Trisong Detsen, thank you.
Okay. Yes. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Thank you. Yeah.
So again, that would be good to do some research on and try and clear that up. Okay, so now we enter into the practice. So it says here in the italics, Om Swavasti, the embodiment of all the victorious one's activities, the great mother of the Buddhas of the three times, the supreme object of hope for the beings of this degenerate times, I surrender to the Noble One. Please grant the ordinary and extraordinary achievements. In an appropriate place, in front of an image of Tara, perform all the offerings that you can arrange. Sit in a comfortable place with a relaxed mind, establish the mind in the four foundations, take refuge, cultivate bodhicitta, and engage in deity yoga. So the four foundations are the four thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma. So we take refuge, cultivate bodhicitta, and so on. So the opening prayers. So we would have set up some kind of an altar. We would have made some kind of offerings to do this. We would have an image of Tara in front of us, and then we're ready to proceed. Okay, so now we come to the refuge and cultivation of bodhicitta. To the assembly of the Bhagavati deities, the embodiment of the triple gem, I and others take refuge until enlightenment is achieved. In order to protect all sentient beings from fears of samsara, I cultivate the two types of bodhicitta. So the two types of bodhicitta are the absolute and the relative. So doing for others and to be able to do for oneself through the overcoming the obscurations of afflictive emotions and of the obscuration of wisdom. So the fears of samsara. So I think this would be a good time to talk about the fears of samsara. So the 8 fears, there are 8 fears that we talk about first. So these are like the outer fears. So if you want to jot this down, you might want to do that. So remember, this comes out of a tradition that is thousands of years old from India, from the Hindu traditions and so on. So these fears are based on real circumstances that people would fall prey to and would have real justified fear in living in those days. So the first one is a fear of lions, being eaten alive. A fear of elephants, being crushed to death. A fear of fire, being burned to death. A fear of snakes, being poisoned. A fear of robbers, having your possessions stolen from you. A fear of imprisonment by, royal decree or kings or warlords or what have you, being imprisoned for doing things that you may consider to be innocent things. But by the whim of these powerful people, they may imprison you. So having that fear. The fear of water, drowning. And the fear of demons is the last one. So the demons, in the outer sense, are these beings that come and drive us crazy and do these things, and they affect us, in our brains and in our bodies and our lives and so on. But we've come to recognize these demons are really within ourselves. But in these days, they would see the demons as being these ethereal beings that would come and enter into our bodies and take over our bodies and so on, take over our lives. So these are the 8 fears, the 8 outer fears.
Hey, Lance,
Yes, sir.
could you run through them real quick without the explanation?
Sure. Lions, elephants, fire, snakes, robbers, imprisonment, water, and demons.
Thank you.
All right, so now the 16 fears are these 8 fears, but looked at in an inner level, in an inner meaning for them. So the lions represent the fear of pride. Elephants represent the fear of ignorance. That we would have this, that we would have an ignorance that we would be afraid of. Anger is the next one, represented, the hatred, the fire of hatred, the fire of anger. The snakes, jealousy, being poisoned would be jealousy. Poisoning is very often the agent of a jealous person. Wrong view is the next, which would be robbers, that they can steal with impunity, taking that which is not given to them. So that's having a wrong view that they feel that they can do that. And the next one, imprisonment, is stinginess, being locked up, stinginess, selfishness. Water, drowning, would be desire, drowning in the ocean of desire, samsara. And the demons would be the last, would be doubt, the inner fear of doubt. Should I go through those again? Okay, everybody got that?
Got it.
Okay. So these are the 8 and 16 fears. Okay, so back to the refuge. To the assembly of the Bhagavati deities, the embodiment of the triple gem, I and others take refuge until enlightenment is achieved. In order to protect all sentient beings from the fears of samsara, I cultivate the two types of bodhicitta. And Shanyata Jana Bhajra Sobhava Atmo Kaham. So this is all nature is completely pure. All nature is completely pure. So when we see that there's dualities and so on, all that is completely pure. Looking at that from the point of view of Dharmakaya. Visualization. All the phenomena of grasping and fixation dissolve into emptiness. The vast protections manifest from that emptiness. At the center are lotus and moon disk. On that is a green tom, the nature of my awareness. Light radiates and purifies the obscurations of all sentient beings. It then makes offerings to all the Buddhas and returns. So if you go to page 50 now, and you see the green tom, the syllable. So you see it in English, T-A-M, but then above it is the Sanskrit Tibetan, where the ta is the syllable that looks like a T, ta, and then there's a at the bottom of that, and then the circle at the top on the roof of the ta makes it a M sound, M sound, tom. So that's the seed syllable of Tara, of green Tara, the green tom, the nature of my awareness, and this represents protection. Tom means protection, or purifies, and the purification becomes our protection. Okay. So we go back. It says it makes offerings to all the Buddhas in return. So remember how we visualize this. Up above and in front of ourselves is the green Tara sitting on a moon disc on the lotus pedestal, and then from her heart is a tom syllable, and from this tom syllable, green light goes to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that is within ourselves. And then from the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, then their blessings go back to the tom syllable. It says it makes offerings to all the Buddhas and returns. And the next page, it says, I become Tara with one face and two arms in the giving mudra, holding a green lotus. My two legs are in the half lotus posture with dignified youthful form, blue, green in color, wearing silken robes and jewel ornaments, radiating light in the Sambhogagaya form. So here it says that it is, her two legs are in the half lotus posture, but we can, I don't know how that was transcribed like that, but all the pictures, everything I know about green Tara, her right leg is always extended so that she can jump up. So how this got translated like that, I don't know. But anyway, that's where it is. So, with a dignified youthful form, blue-green, wearing silken robes and jewel ornaments, radiating light in the Sambhogagaya form. So she's wearing 13 ornaments. So she's got the necklaces and the wrist bracelets and the ankle bracelets and the earrings and all these different things. So you could look that up and see all the references to that, but that's what that means in Sambhogagaya form. So these meditational deities very often have all these jewels and so on to represent their attainments and accomplishments. Light manifests in all directions from the three syllables at the three places. So the three places are the white Om at the forehead, the red Ah at the throat, and the blue Hung at the heart. Light manifests in all directions from the three syllables in the three places, bringing all the Buddha's wisdom, compassion, and activities, which dissolve into me. I become the embodiment of the Sugatas of the three times. So we're visualizing that green tar now has come into us and is sitting maybe 2 inches high. The Tom syllable is at her heart. It's within our heart center. This green light is being generated. And now we're making offerings to green Tara, who is now inside of us. So we do the offerings that we talk about: Argam, the drinking water; Padyam, the washing water; Pushpam, the flowers; Dupam, the incense; Alokam, the light; Alokam, yes; Gande, the perfume, scented water; and Nuitea, the food; and Shapta, the music. So the mandala, so the mantra is Om Ayatare Sapari Vara Argam Pratitsa Soha. So Om, the body, speech, and mind of Arya, noble. Arya means noble. Tare is her name. Tare is one who liberates. That she is the great liberator. Om Tare. Tare Sapari Wara, Tare Ta Sapari Wara, Tare Ta. So Tare Ta also refers to the freedom from illness, the freedom from sickness. So Om Tare Ta Sapari Wara. Sapari Wara is her retinue. So all the associated bodhisattvas and dakinis and other taras and so on that she is associated with. So we're welcoming them, we're offering them. Then Argam, Pratitsa, make the offering, so be it, so ha. Amaya Tare Saparivara Argam Pratitsa Soha. Amaya Tare Saparivara Argam Pratitsa Soha. Amaya Tare Saparivara Pushpam Pratitsa Soha. Tare Sapari Amaya Tare Saparivara Dupam Pratitsa Soha. Maya Tare Saparivara Alokam Pratitsa Soha. Maya Tare Saparivara Gande Pratitsa Soha. Maya Tare Saparivara Nuitea Pratitsa Soha. Maya Tare Saparitowa Shapta Pratitsa Soha. Okay.
What is a drum?
The Damaru. So this is called the Damaru. So it's a good question. The bell is, and the dorje is rejoicing, is making a wonderful sound to welcome the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. And we're happy, we're rejoicing. The drum is calling the Dakinis and the Dharma guardians, calling the other enlightened beings. They hear the drum. This invokes a power within ourselves, because all this is within ourselves. So it's invoking their power, their enlightened beings to come to to be manifest in this practice. So that's what the drum represents. And as we do that, we're going at the body, at the forehead, we're going at the throat, and we're going at the heart.
Do you,
Visualizing the body, speech, and mind of those dakinis and dharma guardians and so on.
do you use both the drum and the dorje at the same time?
I do, yes, and some lamas don't do it. They'll just they won't use the dorje in their right hand, just the drum. But I've gotten accustomed to doing it with both, and that's my preference. Okay. But the bell is in your left hand, and the damaru and dorje, if you care to, is in the right hand. Okay. So we have bells and we have damarus at Dharma Surya. So if there's something that you would like to get and you come by, you can certainly pick one out. If it's not convenient for you to come and you want us to send it to you, we can certainly do that, and we can do it on with a camera so you can see the features of the drum and the bell and so on, if you want to select one yourself like that. So like I said, if you intend to do any practice like this, Deity Yoga practice, you should have these implements. Okay, so now we do the praise. So we will go the crowns of gods and demigods pay homage to your lotus feet. You who liberate from all unfavorable conditions, I praise and prostrate to Mother Tara. So then we do the mantra recitation. So on a moon disk at the heart level is a tom syllable surrounded by the mantra, radiating light to all the Buddhas, bringing back the blessings that dissolve into me, revealing the inseparability of appearance and emptiness, the nature of infinite qualities of all the Buddhas. So this is a theme that we talk about many times, the appearances of phenomenal nature that is empty, emptiness and appearances. So we're bringing this duality, this dualistic nature that our ordinary mind fixates on, and we're releasing that. We're taking that to a higher level. We're looking at this from the viewpoint of Dharmakaya now, of something higher than ourselves. So the light is going around the tom syllable. The tom syllable's in our heart, and it's going around. The mantra garland is going around in a clockwise direction like this. All the peaceful deities, their mantras go around clockwise like this. So so if you're looking down on it, if you see the seed syllable here, it's just clockwise going around from right to left. So all the Buddhas bring back the blessings that dissolve into me, revealing the inseparability of appearance and emptiness, the nature of infinite qualities of all Buddhas. So the Buddhas that we're rejoicing, that we're calling the Dakinis and the Dharma guardians, all this is coming into me, and I'm being elevated. I'm being exalted. I'm exalting myself through this, becoming transcendent. So again, infinite light radiates from the mantra and transforms all outer phenomena into Devachan, and all beings into Tara's form, all reciting the secret mantra. So that light comes from the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas into me, into my heart, into the tom syllable. Now the mantra garland is going around, and now that light is going out to all beings, and we see all this as Devachan. We see all this as the Buddha field of Amitabha, Devachan. So, and all the beings here are Tara. So we see all beings as Tara. They may not recognize themselves as Tara. Of course they don't. but we recognize their potential. We recognize that that is within them. And we are sending out this green light, this wisdom light from this mantra into their hearts so that it may form a seed within themselves. It may vibrate. They may feel the vibration in a way that is invisible to them. That just as I talked about earlier, when we take the empowerment, that the Lama, when he's doing the transmission, he's saying the words, but more important, from his heart is coming into your heart. So now it's from your heart into all these other beings' heart. You've been empowered to be able to do this transmission for the benefit of other beings. So now we recite the mantra, Om Tare Tu Tare Tare Soha. So Om means the body, speech, and mind of the enlightened ones. The enlightened body, speech, and mind of the deity. In this case, it's Tara. Tare is one who liberates. Tare means one who liberates. Then Tutare is liberates from great fears. And then Tare, the third word, Tare, is freedom from sickness and disease. So one is from fears, so one is from the 8 fears. The next one is from the great fears, the 16 fears. And then the next one is from sickness and disease. And Soha, may it be accomplished. And the Tam, the seed syllable, is purifies. The essence of the purifying, the essence of the protection that comes as a result of the purification.
So Ture is purification.
Say it again.
Did you say that Ture purification or Tare?
Tutare is liberation from great fears. Tutare. And Ture, I see. Ture is freedom from sickness and disease. Ture, Ture.
Ture, freedom from sickness. Okay.
Let me check one thing, wait a minute. Correct, Tutare. So that's correct. I was looking at something else here. I had a note here, but my note was spelled wrong. So that's where that was. That's where I was getting that from. Something was wrong, and my note was wrong. Okay. All right. Very good. All right. So then we do the recitation, and we generate the mantra garland going to all beings as green light. Then when we're finished, now we do the offerings again. But this time we're doing the offerings, and we are offering them to all those beings, to all those Taras that are out in Dewachen. So the first one, we're doing the offerings inside ourselves because the deities are inside ourselves. Now we're making the offerings outside. So we're taking our hands, our both hands, and we're clicking both our fingers and doing it outside like this. That's correct, like that. So each one of so that's the distinction between the first offering and the second offering.
I'm sorry, Lance, do you say it comes out in gestures?
Yeah, we're doing the gestures, we're doing the mudras, right?
Mhm.
And we're gathering the blessings, and then we make the offering argam, and then we make the offering pratitsa. So we're clicking our fingers, but our fingers, you see my hands are facing outward.
So before it was like this, yes. Now,
Correct. So all this ritual stuff is developing mindfulness, single pointed mindfulness. That's the purpose of all this, is to be able to hone our edge, to be able to get us to one pointed mindfulness.
that's very interesting. I never heard this explained.
Okay.
That's great that you pick that up.
All right. Thank you. You're welcome. All right. So now let's go back. Does anybody want to take a quick break, stand up and stretch or anything like that? Because we're going to do the practice next.
Okay.
Anybody need a minute? Any other questions while we're waiting for Tom?
Hey, Lance, I want to play that mantra recitation that you sent me a little while ago for everyone. Is that cool?
What mantra recitation? Got it right here. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Right. So when it comes time to do the mantra, if you will play that, that would be a great help. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. So there's many melodies to all these different mantras. And, you know, depending on what the practice is, depending on who the Lama is, depending on what monastery the Lama may have come from, there's all kinds of variations of these melodies and so on. So they're all good. None's bad. So if you learn one and really get that down, but then you sit in a practice led by some Lama that you've never met before, and he does a different melody, don't freak out, you know. It's just the way that it's done like that. Be grateful that you have another melody to learn to do it with. You might like it better than the first one. Okay. All right, so we're waiting for Gary to come back and for Bonnie to come back. And Curtis is with you, William? Oh, there he is. Okay.
Lance, I have a quick question.
Sure.
I know you've taught, I feel like I shouldn't ask this. I know you've taught us this before, but bodhicitta is the ultimate protection from all fears. Is that correct?
Well, to be stable in bodhicitta implies that you have overcome those fears. You have already overcome those fears.
Okay.
So bodhicitta is within us already.
Right.
You know, so if we are stable in bodhicitta, then that just naturally, we've overcome fears. That's not an issue for us anymore.
So it's really just the growing of the relative bodhicitta to the absolute bodhicitta. And once you get to that point, then there are no fears. Is that correct?
You know, once you've reached that stabilization of bodhicitta, now you're a bodhisattva. Now you're, you know, depending on what level bodhisattva you might be, or you know, or now you might be a Buddha. So there's no question about fears. Yeah. There's no issue of fears.
And all of these deity practices, like you said, help us develop one-pointed mindfulness, which helps our bodhicitta grow.
Correct. Correct. So we're looking at all the different enlightened activities that the Buddhas partake in for our benefit, for us to be able to perfect our bodhicitta, to recognize and perfect our bodhicitta.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, they're operating from bodhicitta. They are perfect examples of bodhicitta. They are the embodiment of bodhicitta. So through them, we're learning what that means, what that perfect bodhicitta is. And through all these different activities, enlightened activities. So this one is developing fearlessness.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Nyingma was compassion, Manjushri was wisdom, Vajrapani was dharma power, and Vajrasattva was purification, confession. So these are all enlightened activities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, you know, I just got to say that, you know, the analogy I always like to use is, you know, we're looking at this as a 2,000 piece puzzle with no picture. And first we got to make the frame and get the corners of the frame and everything. And then we start looking at all these interior pieces and we're fitting all these pieces together. And this is what takes all the time. This is what we're doing, you know, putting all those pieces together and so on, and seeing what fits and what doesn't fit, and fine tuning our wisdom, fine tuning our method, fine tuning our practices, how we do this. You know, in the beginning, it's all very coarse. You know, we're bumbling through things. We're not pronouncing things right. We don't have the right melodies that we want. All these things, we don't understand everything. But after several years of doing this, then it becomes very simple, very seamless, very easy for us, very effortless. So that's what we're working for. Okay, so let's begin on page 47. We'll recite the refuge and cultivation and go through the whole practice now. To the assembly of the Bhagavata deities, the embodiment of the triple gem, I and others take refuge until enlightenment is achieved. In order to protect all sentient beings from the fears of samsara, I cultivate the two types of bodhicitta. To the assembly of the Bhagavati deities, the embodiment of the triple gem, I and others take refuge until enlightenment is achieved. In order to protect all sentient beings from the fears of samsara, I cultivate the two types of bodhicitta. Choksum kondu pagme la sogla, Zhangzhu bardu dagso kyaksu chi, Drokun si pe jiksog le kyob chi, Zhangzhu samni dampa rabgedo. Om Shamyata Jana Bajra Sobhava Atmo Koham. All the phenomena of grasping and fixation dissolve into emptiness. The vast protections manifest from that emptiness. At the center are a lotus and moon disk. Light radiates and purifies the obscurations of all sentient beings. It then makes offerings to all the Buddhas and returns. I become Tara with one face and two arms in the giving mudra, holding a green lotus. My two legs are in the half lotus posture with a dignified youthful form, blue-green in color, wearing silken robes and jewel ornaments, radiating light in the Sambhogagaya form. Light manifests in all directions from the three syllables in the three places, bringing all the Buddha's wisdom, compassion, and activities which dissolve into me. I become the embodiment of the Sugatas of the three times. Sugatas means well gone one. Sugata, well gone one. Tibet. Zongzen dupe chonam toparjan, tope nele sangsum yang pao, de pe tana rang rig tam jang yu, wozu chote jojo jepa jang, yao cho surdu rangi pagme ku, Zalchik Chagni Chogjej Utpal Zen, Zabni Chekil Ying Tab Song Nu So Jangong De Dang Ratna To Shel Chen San Pei Wo Cho Long Cho Zog Pei Ku Ne Sum Ju Sum Wo Zer Cho Kun Cho Yao Gun Yen Sei Wo Zer Rang La Tin Du Sum De Sheg Rang Zug Yong Chen Mo Om Ayata Sa Parivara Argam Pratitsa Soha Om Ayatare Sa Parivara Padyam Pratitsa Soha Om Ayatare Sa Parivara Pushpam Pratitsa Soha Om Ayatare Sa Parivara Dupam Pratitsa Soha Om Ayatare Sa Parivara Alokam Pratitsa Soha Om Ayatare Sa Parivara Gande Pratitsa Soha Om Ayatare Sa Parivara Nuitea Pratitsa Soha Om Ayatare Sa Parivara Shapta Pratitsa Soha. The crowns of gods and demigods pay homage to your lotus feet. You who liberate from all unfavorable conditions, I praise and prostrate to Mother Tara. Tibet. La dan la min cho pen yi, zabgi pe mo la tu ne. Pong pa kyun le jo ze ma, jo ma yum la chak sa. The mantra recitation. On a moon disk at the heart level is a tom syllable surrounded by the mantra, radiating light to all the Buddhas, bringing back the blessings that dissolve into me, revealing the inseparability of appearance and emptiness, the nature of infinite qualities of all Buddhas. Again, infinite light radiates from the mantra and transforms all outer phenomena into Dewa Chen, all beings into Tara's form, all reciting the secret mantra. Trokar da ten dam yang, nang yi kur, cho chin gyal kun, cho te jin lab du, nak tong yer me rab jam gyal wei zao, la yang na le wo zer pag me tro. Chino de shen nak chu ke jonam, pag me kurgur nagi rang dra dro. So in Tibetan, Tara's name is Drolma, D-R-O-L-M-A, Drolma. So many of you you've taken refuge and gotten a Tibetan name. Many of the women get the name Drolma as part of their name, and means Tara. Okay, so now there's many ways of doing this mantra. So let's begin with this way that Garchen Rinpoche has done for many years, and it's, I like this one a lot. It's very, it's fun to do. So Adrian, if you can play that for us, would be great.
do dare do re so wa dare 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 do dare do re so wa.
Okay, so it's a round of six times. So die do re so ha 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 die do re so die do re so ha 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 die do re so ha. So you want to continue that, or you want to do it in a more straight fashion?
That's good.
All right. Die do re so ha. 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 Om dari 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 do re so ha. Drink. Om dari do re so ha. 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 Om Dari Tu 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 Re So Ha. Om Tai Tu Tai Tere Soha. 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 Om doi to doi to rezo, 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 om doi to doi to rezo. Om doi to doi to rezo, 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 om doi to doi to rezo. Om doi to doi to rezo, 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 om doi to doi to rezo. Om doi to doi to rezo, 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 om doi to doi to rezo. Om doi to doi to rezo, 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 om doi to doi to rezo. Om doi to doi to rezo, 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 om doi to doi to rezo. Om doi to doi to rezo, 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 om doi to doi to rezo. Om doi to doi to rezo, 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 om doi to doi to rezo. Om doi to doi to rezo, 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 om doi to doi to rezo. Om to doi to rezo, om doi 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 to doi to rezo. Om doi to doi to rezo, 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 om doi to doi to rezo. Om doi to doi to rezo, 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 om doi to doi to rezo. Om to doi to doi to rezo, om 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 doi to doi to rezo. Om to doi to rezo, om doi to doi to rezo, om doi to doi to rezo, om doi to doi to rezo. Om tare to re so ha. 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 So now the offerings again for all beings and all the taras that we visualize in Dewachen, in the Pure Land. Amaya tare sa parivara argam pratitsa soha. Amaya tare sa parivara padyam pratitsa soha. Amaya tare sa parivara pushpam pratitsa soha. Amaya tare sa parivara dupam pratitsa soha. Amaya tare sa parivara alokam pratitsa soha. Amaya tare sa parivara gandam gande pratitsa soha. Amaya tare sa parivara nuitea pratitsa soha. Amaya tare sa parivara shata pratitsa soha. The crowns of gods and demigods pay homage to your lotus feet. You who liberate from all unfavorable conditions, I praise and prostrate to Mother Tara. La dang la min jo pengi, zabgi pe mo la tune, pompa kule jo zema, jo ma yum la chak sa ko. 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 Jo ma yum All outer and inner phenomena melt into light and dissolve into me. I also melt into the non-referential, unfabricated Dharmadhatu, the ultimate clear light Dharmakaya, the great bliss. All is in the Mahamudra state, the ordinary mind. Chinang cho no chu zu rang la ten, rang yang mi meg ma cho cho ki ying. Wo sel don dam cho ku de wa che, ta mel she pa nang si cha gya che. We visualize the dissolution and we rest in the nature of the mind as such for a couple of minutes. Okay. So any questions or comments about the practice? So normally we might do 10 mala rounds of the mantra, but time was running short, so we had a flavor of doing it with a long melody, then a shorter chant, and then a faster chant. So I gave you a sense of that, and also in the offerings, we did the offerings as a chant the first time. Om Ayatare Sapari Vara Argam Pratitsa Soha. And then the second time we did it with a melody. Om Ayatare Sapari Vara Argam Pratitsa Soha. So all these things are fine. You know, these are become your practices to do so. Whatever flows with you is fine. When we're all together, you follow the umze, you know, the chant leader, the chant master.
So, if I may, I have a question which, which may seem quite contradiction. If we look at the long practice of Green Tara, it mentions.
You mean this practice or another practice?
I still Green Tara, but there is a longer one, right?
Correct.
There is longer one, and the longer that I have in front of me, it's like different variation on the translation, but in the longer one, it mentions that Green Tara is also sometimes like have a fierce look, and it inspires fear in whoever not behaving well, so to speak, right?
Where did you get that translation from? Is that a Drikung Kagyu translation?
It seemed like, well, maybe I'm expressing it not quite right, but what do you make of it? So you see, whose wrathful expression fiercely shakes the entire assembly of local protectors, rescuing
From
the
everything I
empowered.
know about peaceful deities, you know, they are compassionate. They're loving kindness. There's no anger. There's no fear. You know, they're not generating that. They're not showing that. And Green Tar in particular is a peaceful deity. I don't know, you know, maybe there's another practice where she's visualized as a wrathful deity, but not in this practice. So, and I'm glad you raised this point, because it does make an important issue. What we are learning in this book are the Drikung Kagyu practices.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to stay within a lineage. You know, if we start going from one lineage to another, things like this come up for one reason or another, because the differences of the lineages sometimes are their approaches and sometimes visualizations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's important to stay within a lineage as much as you can. You know, it's not going to, you know, you're not going to go to hell if you don't. It's not something like that. But it just, it makes it easier. It makes it flow more. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it raises less doubt and so on. And you become stable in an approach, in a practice and so on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, it does.
So
I think it was, I mean, this was coherent with whatever we were reciting also as longer practice in the temple. But I mean,
right,
I
at
just
Dharmasuriya? At Dharmasuriya?
if my memory is okay, but in general, just I wanted to be sure that Green Tar is peaceful deity,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. So so and if there is such a word saying as like you know, like instilling fear in something, it's not that we're afraid of that, but it's something that it
The Buddhas and the
protects us
Bodhisattvas,
from something other intelligence.
the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas have nothing but love and compassion for all beings, including those who are who commit the 5 heinous crimes.
Mm-hmm. Right, and if they have maybe like wrathful looks, or maybe not wrathful, but fierce looks or expressions, that is so that the other like obstacle creating beings are like pacified.
Well,
and
the fierceness of their appearance is just symbolic. It's just something for us, human beings, regular human beings, to recognize that we need to have that kind of fierceness to overcome that kind of negativity, that kind of non-virtue. But it's not a literal thing where, you know, this big fierce deity comes up out of the ground or out from the sky and dominates, you know, these beings who are non-virtuous. It doesn't work like that. They're dominating them with love. They're dominating with them compassion. They're dominating them with joy and equanimity. The fierceness is just the quality of that bodhicitta. It's symbolic.
Okay.
Check it out with a Lama.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. No, it's yeah. I thought if somebody comes across this, it's good to know that.
Okay.
Lance, I have another question. So when you're visualizing the mantra spinning around the Sid syllable, do you visualize the Sid syllables in the mantra, or is that for advanced practitioners?
It's the mantra garland. You know, when you first start off, you know, maybe you're going slow and you're visualizing the seed syllable, the tom syllable in this case, and the mantra going around tai tutai tare soha, and it's going around, but then it begins to increase in speed. And the syllables are generating light, and that light just becomes this light garland, and this light is like spinning off into all the space around into the Buddha field. So it's like that.
Okay. But you don't necessarily need to visualize each letter in particular. It just
Well, like I said, in the beginning, you might, yes. In the very beginning, as you're reciting it, tare tu tare to re so ha tare tu. You're very deliberate. You're thinking about it. But then as you pick up, you know, a little bit of speed and so on, and it begins to flow more effortlessly, then the syllables just all blend together in this green light and go to all beings. And that's true with all the different mantras like that.
I think Dr. Rinpoche was saying that we can visualize like the English letters done.
You can.
Yeah.
You can. Sure. Whatever it takes for you to, you know, bring your mind in. But when you do that, it doesn't mean that at some time in the future you can't step up and then start doing it in the Tibetan or the Sanskrit. So if you need to do it in the English to get familiar with it, do it in the English.
Right.
You know, and for that matter, you know, here we read all the instructions in the English, and then we also read the instructions in Tibetan. But you don't necessarily need to read the instruction parts of the sadhana in Tibetan. But you do need to recite the dharanis and the mantras and the prayers in Sanskrit or Tibetan. But the instructions you don't necessarily need to do. So whatever it takes to bring your mind together on it. But remember, you know, the masters, Talopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, what hardships did they go through? Imagine what hardships they went through to purify themselves, to be life forces that over 1,000 years we're still talking about them and we're using them as examples. What hardships are we willing to do for ourselves to try and approach that? How much are we willing to push ourselves? So if we're always taking the easy way, you know, there's a benefit, but it might be a little benefit, you know. But if we can push ourselves a little bit more, we can do another 5 mile rounds instead of just doing 3 and do 8 or do 10 or whatever, then we're going to increase our mindfulness, increase our practice, increase our devotion, increase our power, increase all of that by whatever factor it is that we put into it. We get out of it what we put into it. So if we need to simplify things to first get into it, absolutely. But it doesn't have to remain there. Once we get familiar with that, we can push it to the next level. As a matter of fact, saying that, all these practices here in this book, these are all concise translations that Kenshin Rinpoche did when he first came to America in 1982. This was his first project, was to take these much more elaborate practices that he brought from the monastery with him to America. And he said, well, for these Americans, I got to make it real simple. And he did these concise practices. You know, so this green tar practice, there is likely to be a green tar practice that takes 2 days to do from beginning to end. You know, we did this in an hour and a half an hour. So So I'm just making the point about, that we're, we're taking off little bits that we can chew, but always remember that there's always, we can increase ourselves as much as we can. I'm an old school guy, I do stuff like that.
Okay, I also have a question about like this book you see.
Yes, that's the supplication to ultimate Dharma.
So it's a green book, but it's not necessarily about the green Tara, right? It's
Right,
about kind of
look at the
old
picture.
Tara.
Look at the picture.
Yeah, it looks like white Tara.
Correct. So it's not making a distinction between white tar or green tar. It's talking about the 7 tars. There was
Seven
the
tars,
vision. There was a vision of Lord Jigdan Sumgun when he was in retreat.
Mm.
But don't worry, I made the same. I made the same thing. I always associated that with green tar.
Yeah, when I started reading, I thought, wow, it's not what quite I expected, but it's a great book too.
Yes, it was a great teaching that Kempo gave on that. So, do you know where I'm coming from? With my old school way, saying, that, we make these hardships for ourselves, or we get lazy and we take a lot of shortcuts. You understand my point about that?
Oh, you're asking me?
Anybody?
Oh, anyway, huh?
I'm not trying to be punitive or anything like that. I'm just trying to make a point.
Yeah, we have to move little by little. With as long as we keep moving forward, it will take us somewhere.
Imagine where you're going to be in 5 years from now, 10
Yeah.
years from now, 20 years from now. I mean, you're a young man. Adrian's a young man. Amanda's a young woman. Tom is a young man.
Young man.
Michael's a young man. What happened to Gary? You, me, and William and Bonnie, we're all about the same age.
Well, Lance, I learned that. So before each practice, learn that I'm going to offer the kata and I'll do my prostrations. I do like that.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's do the dedication. Or we did the dedication, didn't we? No, we didn't do that.
I'm not sure.
All right, let's do the dedication, and then we'll do our lineage dedications for tonight. By this virtue, the virtues accumulated in samsara and nirvana, and the innate nature, may all mother sentient beings, countless as infinite space, attain the form of noble Tara, free from rejection and acceptance, the state of great wisdom that is liberated from the 5 poisons. Dewa didang korde sang yogi Jnana Gendro wa yodocho Drogna Rangdrel Yeshe Jen Polong Gagdrub Jawe Pagme Kutob So. Okay, thank you. Let's do short dedication, page 159. The Korma prayer. By the virtues collected in the 3 times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate word of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drikung Kagyu Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. Long life prayers. For this realm, encircled by the snow-covered mountains, you are the source of every benefit and bliss without exception. Tenzin Gyatso, you are one with Avalokiteshvara. May you remain steadfast until samsara's end. Embodiment of the three precious jewels, Padmapani, who holds the teachings of the victorious one, seeing the all-goodness meaning with the wisdom eye. May you who are spontaneously established activities live long for hundreds of kalpas. Noble Manjushri, the Lord of Speech, who manifests to hold the teachings of the Triple Gem, who raises the lamp of the sage's teachings. May you who are the light of the Dharma live long for hundreds of kalpas. Next page. The one known in the Holy Land as Aryadeva, emanated into the Gar clan of Eastern Tibet as Jyotingpa, the heart son of Jigdan Sumgun. May the life of glorious Garchin remain steadfast for 100 eons. In this age of strife, when the victor's teaching faces hardship, through his powerful Vajra-like conduct, he takes on himself the heavy responsibility of the unbiased teachings. May Garchin, the son of the teachings, live long. Om, Ah, Hom. Om, Ah, Hom. Om, Ah, Hom. May the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones become inseparable with my body, speech, and mind. Thank you all very much.